Hello, everybody. He's a teacher, he's a journalist, but I want him to introduce himself to you. Welcome.
Hello there, everyone. Thank you very much, Teacher Rod,
Yeah.
for having me here. It's a real pleasure. Talking to you is amazing. And I would like to say that I am Teacher Marcio Walter Machado, and I have this channel, English for Brazucas. It's a page on TikTok and Instagram, and we also have a channel on YouTube. And I would like to invite you all to join us and see all our videos there. I'm a
Of
journalist
course.
too, and we have a page on Instagram, and there we have interviews with people and a lot of things that we do on journalism.
How did it all start? Could you tell us, please?
Oh, sure, my pleasure. Well, it's two very different things. I started teaching like 22 years ago. So I have a BA in Letras e Literatura. So I like saying this in Portuguese because you know that the English names are a little bit different. So, yeah. And then so I could say liberal arts. I studied liberal arts, and then I started teaching, and I took a liking of that. It's like I went to the classroom one day and I said, oh my God, this is what I want to do my whole entire life. And then I started teaching that time. It was like 22 years ago, a long time ago. It says a lot about me. And then that's when I started teaching English. Not only English, but at the time I used to teach Spanish too, and Portuguese language and literature too. And then just recently did I start teaching on the internet, like 2 years ago because of the pandemic. And yeah, it really did something, huh? And then I started teaching there, and I thought, okay, there are people who want to learn English and they don't have a lot of money to pay for the courses. And because we know an English school may be very expensive. And the books too. So I started preparing some material to teach. And that's how I started teaching for Instagram and TikTok.
How did it feel for you having to reinvent yourself on the internet?
I used to work for a chain of English schools that is very famous in Brazil. And then we had to go to the internet, and I didn't adjust there for because of their methodology and everything. And I said, oh my God, what am I gonna do now? And so at first it was a little bit difficult for me. But then as we started doing having these conversations on Zoom and on Meet, then it started to get easier. And but at first it was really complicated. It was like somebody threw us like in a stormy ocean, and it was pretty much complicated for us. But then we got used to everything, right? So learning English with music is something that is very nice and very interesting. I always tell my students that even though we have some discrepancies in the sounds of music and in the sounds of speech, it is very much important that we listen to music because we are going to learn the language by having pleasure and all, of course. And then we're going to learn the words and the structures because we're going to sing the songs. And we can also remember the sounds going up and the going ups and down of the English language, right?
Yeah, English is almost like singing. I don't know if you agree with me, but
that's totally right. That's totally right. On my TikTok page, I had this video the other day, and I told my students a very nice sentence that is totally musical. It's like, can you help me choose a present for my girlfriend?
That's the way.
Can you help me choose a present for my girlfriend? Can you help me choose a present for my girlfriend? So you see the music's there going up and down.
Yeah, I agree. How do you merge being a journalist and an English teacher at the same time?
Well, what we have here is very two different paths, but sometimes they get together. Sometimes they merge, as you said. And the first, I remember that when I started working for the newspaper, I used to work for Jornal à Tarde from Salvador.
Yeah.
From Salvador de Bahia. And then the first week I was there, I was the only person who spoke English fluently. And so there was this conference with this very famous Indian shaman and scientist. He's both a shaman and a scientist.
Yeah.
And then they said, somebody has to interview him, and we chose you because you were the only one who speaks English fluently. And then I was there, and it was my first huge interview because this man is a megastar. And then I started interviewing him, and this is when the two professions merged the first time. And then as I was in Salvador, now we live in Brasilia, but at the time I still lived in Salvador. And so Salvador is a place where tourists go for the summer, and I mean all year long. But anyway, and so sometimes I had to interview people in English, and sometimes I had to talk to the tourists that we had around. And that's exactly when the two professions merged. My English teaching profession and my journalism. And
Awesome.
the opposite is also the opposite is also true, because I could use journalism during my classes. And so that's it.
So as a teacher for so many years, you might have so many memorable moments as a teacher in the classroom. Could you share one with us?
Oh, yes. It's hard, I guess, to pick a moment out of so many memories. But I remember one day that I got really touched by one of my students. I was a teacher for H. Pythagoras at the time, and it was high school teaching. And so the students could choose if they were going to study Spanish or English. And then I remember the student coming to me, and she said, "Teacher, I hate English." And I said, "Oh, why? Why do you say?" And then she said, "Okay, I hate English. I can understand what I wanted to understand, but let me tell you something. You make the language so easy to learn that I am going to be here because I hate the language, but I love you." And then I started to think about my job, and then I started thinking about me as a teacher. And I think that this is exactly what teachers should be. Like, we have to, of course, to teach what we have to teach, the subjects and everything we're paid for, or we are expected to do. But more than that, we have to touch people's heart. And that's what I think I could do, at least with that girl, Claudia. I have to say hello to her, Claudia Thaisa. Thank you ever so much for that.
I totally agree with you. What do you think the future of language teaching will be? Hybrid teaching, in-person teaching, online teaching?
Well, I have been talking about this with our fellow teachers. And then everybody has an opinion, but I guess that, when we talk about teaching, and when we have all of those tools like the internet, the ones the internet offer us, I think that we are going towards a kind of teaching that is, I don't know if it's going to be hybrid, as you said, because there are people who like to have the teacher and presence there, like to hear, to like be looking at, although the internet brings that to us too. But I think that people have been advocating for a total transformation of the art of teaching for many decades, and it hasn't changed that much. So the schools remain to be pretty much the same, although we have all of that technology around.
Yeah.
But I think for the next years, we're going to have the same models, but maybe in 10, 15 years, we tend to be more online teaching.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know how to tell you that, but I guess that we're going to keep the same model of going to school and seeing the teachers there and having classmates. But I think that this that we are having now, that TikTok, this YouTube, this Zooming, whatever has, is here forever. I forgot to tell you that when the pandemic started and everybody was locked down around the world, I started thinking about what I could do, because before the English for Brazil, because before this course, English course, I started to have a page on Instagram that's called Easy Brazilian Portuguese, where I teach Portuguese to international audience. And then it's this. I have students from everywhere on the planet. Like I have students from India, from China, from New Zealand, from Ireland, from the Americas, from Africa. And what happens? Why am I saying that? It's because I have people all around the world who want to study Portuguese. And so with the internet teaching, we don't have borders. Like you are there, I am here. We are in totally different cities. But anyhow, we are talking, and you have your audience, and I have mine, and they come from all over. So this is the good thing about teaching online, because you have no borders to teach, you know.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think that's time that we could go to the rapid round game. The game that everybody loves. Let's start. My first question for you is, English for Brazucas is?
English for Brazucas is a place where you can go to and have a lot of fun and learn a lot of things.
Yes, awesome. If I had to choose, I would prefer to be a journalist or an English teacher.
It is very hard to say, but I think I would choose something that could have the two things together, something in which I could merge the journalist and the teacher, because I love both professions. They are not that different. Yeah, they are not that different. They are very similar in some ways. Yeah. Because as you said, teacher, I'm sorry, but as you said, it's teaching is like telling stories, and being a journalist is like making the stories available to everyone.
Yeah. The most beautiful word in English for me is?
Realize. I love the sound. Realize.
Yeah, that's a good one. The most beautiful Portuguese word for me is?
I love the word borboleta. I don't know why.
Butterfly.
Yeah. In Portuguese, yeah.
Yes.
Now we got me, but that word would be something like amazed. Because being alive makes me feel amazed by every possibility that we have. So I guess this is the word that would define me now. Amazed.
Yeah. What the world needs right now is?
I could say love, but I could say love and knowledge.
Studying liberal arts was?
One of the best things I have ever done.
Yeah, awesome. Now I am on the hot seat, and you can ask as many questions as you want.
Okay. How would you define teaching?
My life.
Right. Wow, that was very profound, teacher. Yeah. Being an English teacher in Brazil is?
Tough love.
Yeah.
But I love it anyway. I love a challenge.
Okay. Challenge meaning?
Even if they say no to you, keep going strong.
All right. How would you define Rod the teacher?
A person who never gives up.
And how can it merge with Raj, the person?
A person who never gives up because he believes in the good side of any single person he meets along the way.
Being happy is
something that we have inside.
The most necessary thing at the moment.
Peace, respect, and understanding.
To end this, I would like to ask you to please talk to us about what motivates you to continue being a teacher in a country where sometimes it is so complicated to be what we are.
Helping people learn is one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life. And when I see that a student is learning from me and I see their eyes shining because they are cracking a new code, for me, that's priceless.
Amazing teacher. Thank you ever so much for your answers.
Thank you. Well, for every guest, I have a sentence, a quote, a takeaway. And for you, is you may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I like to say that I am a dream chaser. And for people who work with liberal arts like you and like myself, if we stop dreaming, we start dying day after day. Please keep going with your high-level job on social medias because we need more people like you in Brazil who we can clearly see that speaks from the heart. And thank you for this interview. Thank you for being here with me. It was a huge pleasure.
The pleasure is ours, Dan, because I am really, really happy to be here. And I was really surprised when you first approached me, and it made me feel really happy that you wanted to have me here talking to you. And I would like to thank you ever so much
for
the work you do on the internet, and for every knowledge, every bit of knowledge that you bring us every day. Thank you ever so much for that.
So thanks again. I hope you at home enjoyed it. See you next week. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you later.
Hello, it's Rod's friend here, Gino from Real Everyday English. Sorry for interrupting your video. I just want to make a quick recommendation that you subscribe to Rodrigo's channel. He's an amazing guy. He's so humble. He's so dedicated, and he creates absolutely fantastic content. See you people soon. Bye-bye. God bless.